Hi, everyone, and welcome to Divinely Empowered with Antonia. Today we have the lovely Quadrina. Now, Quadrina is she's one of my students now, and she's about to be a practitioner. But what was really interesting is she has the email address which has Ashtar lessons in it, which pricked my ears when she said, when the email address was that, she was asking me some question and it said Ashtar lessons. Ooh, is she talking to Lord Ashtar? I've had some experience with Lord Ashtar, and this led us to, really Ashtar answering a lot of different questions for me. So let me start by introducing the lovely Quadrina. Hi, Quadrina, and welcome.
Hi, Antonia. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So Ashtar has been left Quadrina with some instructions for what's happening. We have a a message at the end, which is his forecast for next year and some specific words to those listening. He's answered a lot of questions and wants to say a few things through Quadrina, and he's also helped me with a great deal of things. So let's start with your journey with Lord Ashtar. So when did your journey with Lord Ashtar begin?
My journey began in 2018. I was already a healer and a channeler. I was channeling Ashtar, but one day he came and told me, "From now on, you're gonna be my voice." And I said I was shy. I was at the beginning of my, I was beginning of being healer and channeler, and I didn't trust myself. And I said, "What do you want from me? Me, your voice in the world? It's too much for me." And he said, "You're gonna do it." And yes, I want you to open a YouTube channel. And I said, "What are you talking about? All this technique for me? I'm a doctor. I was a doctor for 20 years. Too much for me." But I had a friend who was a specialist in IT, and she said, "Okay, if Asha told you, let's do it. You only record what he is telling you, and I will take care of all your YouTube channel." So I started to, in a very shy way, to do channelings and to speak through with his help. He told me also that he forbade me to do channelings for my clients. He said, "No, please, I'm not going to channel you any information, but all you have to do for now is to make energy updates, and I will help you with the healings. From now on, you are forbidden to use anything like Reiki, Theta healing, angels, or something like this. You're gonna feel everything. You are able to see, and I will be near you and help you to to enter in the childhood's people problem, and to feel what is the problem and to clear it."
Yes. So how come you got into divine empowerment? Did he come? Did he tell you to come and do my courses if you're forbidden from doing the other ones?
Yes, I had a very tense period last year, and I was in a position where I wasn't able to to be a healer anymore. uh, I had some very strange things in my life, and I got overwhelmed. I was in fear, and one day I decided to go into meditation to ask him what I'm going to do, because I'm not feeling good, so I cannot support people anymore. And what is the purpose in my life? Because I knew the purpose was to be a healer and a channeler.
Yeah.
And what was amazing, completely amazing, he showed me a way to wrap all the fears in a portals and to send somewhere. And yes, yes. And he showed me and he told me, for the now, do this for you, for all your fears and for all your feelings. But you need somebody stronger and somebody who really knows how to deal with that, with these things. In a few days, you're gonna know what person to choose and to work with that person. I said, what person? I don't know any person. What are you talking about? What person? And he told me, watch YouTube and Facebook as you usually do, and you're gonna find the right person. All the time, our relation is like a game. He's playing with game with me. And of course, it was morning, and I opened my Facebook, and who was doing a live on my Facebook, in the Facebook, Ismail Perez, and Ismail Perez was with you. What were you doing at that time? You are trying to stop his mind.
Okay.
When I saw you, I said, "Oh my God, I like her. Oh my God, is she powerful? Maybe she's the right person." And when you said, "Okay, I'm gonna stop Ismail's mind," I said, "I'm gonna jump in this energy to see how powerful you are." And I felt like a train hitting my head. And all of a sudden, all my thoughts stopped, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is this?" But it's so good. I'm without fears, and I'm without thoughts, and everything is amazing. So in that moment, I knew you are the person. Then I asked him, and I said, "Okay, is she the person?" And he said, "Yes."
Wow, this is fun.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to tell you my story with Ashtar because it's a strange one and people may or may not be aware of it. So, this is why her email address is Ashtar Lessons. So I saw this and it made me take note of Kodrina. Okay, so what happened was a few years ago there was a situation where I was asleep in my bed, and I've had a few situations because what I'm doing, the dark side don't want me to do. It's just as simple. And my life is in danger. My life has been in danger for a long time. But it is, I mean, they will threaten me. I don't think they're going to get me, but I do think that, they're going to try, is where it is. So I was in my house and I was in bed and I was asleep, and suddenly I heard noise inside my house. I thought I was being broken into. And there was things moving inside my house, and my cat and I both woke up and we went, "Oh my God, there's someone's in the house." I thought they were going to come and break in and rob me. But there was definitely like footsteps and like thumping running up the stairs. And then the light outside my bedroom door. So I have a trip light. So the trip light is, so when you walk past, you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, then the light goes on, a low light, so you don't have to fall down the stairs, and you don't have to put the big light on and blind yourself in the middle of the night. So the trip light went and the bathroom light went on. So these two lights came on. And I was like, someone's in the house. There's no doubt there's someone's in the house, like physical people inside the house coming to rob me or do something. And then I was in my bed, and then suddenly a light came from the other side, from my through my blinds. I have blackout blinds and black curtains. Through that, a blinding white light comes outside of the door. Another 3 people arrive in my house, and there was a fight. I heard punches, like proper punches, stumbling, hitting the wall, falling down the stairs. There was a fight. I could hear, but there was no screams or screeches, but it was physical, banging against the wall, banging against flesh. falling down the stairs after a few minutes, and then the hallway light went off. And then I came and investigated the table in the. So I walked down the stairs. The bathroom light was still on, and there's only me and my cat in the house. But the bathroom light was interesting because it has a special the way to set it so you can change colors and such. And so you have to press it on, off, on, off, on, off, like a few times in a row for it to flash. And it was flashing. So it's a particular program. So it means it's been switched on and off in succession. It doesn't do that by itself. I came downstairs. The table had been pushed to the side of the room. Things were knocked over. Cushions were on the floor. A cat's, I have a little ball treat, and it had been kicked across the room. And these cat treats had a trail across the room because it had been kicked across the room. And then I checked all the windows and doors to see maybe there's an intruder for sure. All the windows and doors are locked. Someone had teleported in to kill me, no doubt. So then I thought, oh my God, what's happened? And it was very scary and very confusing. And I rang Neshla, who's one of my practitioners. She's also a very good psychic. Neshla AV, if anyone is interested. There's a plug to her. I rang Neshla and I said, what the hell's happened? And she pulled in the letters of Ashtar's name individually, psychically. She went, it's spelled ASHTAR. And she said, Ashtar. And I went, I don't know who this person is. She went, I don't know who this person is either, but that's who saved you. He came in a ship and he saved your life. And I went, who the hell is this guy? So then I Googled him and then I found out this guy, Lord Ashtar. And then I've been speaking to this is a few years ago, 3-4 years ago. I've been speaking to many psychics since. And he's always with me. There's always, so for anyone who doesn't know, he's a head of the Galactic Fleet. He's a very high commander from the Galactic Federation who's leading a lot of different things. But I don't know that much about him, actually. You're going to tell us more about him, I'm sure. But he's always around me. He's always protecting me. And I think they've upped the protection on me because I do think the dark side are trying to kill me. There's no doubt. I've had 4 assassination attempts. That's one of them. And they were in my house and I could feel the deadly intention. They came to kill me. They didn't get through my bedroom door because Ashtar came in and beat the crap out of them.
Wow.
So I wanted to know more about him for a long time. And now it seems like we're very good friends, Ashtar and I. So I think I'm working with him in my dream world. I think I'm doing some genetic things. So what do you know about my role with him or anything like that? Are we allowed to discuss that?
Yes, a bit we are. He's protecting you. You are close family. He's all the time around you, and he's putting more and more guards on you because you will develop another soon. You're gonna develop another methods. Wonderful, I think in 3 or 4 months, and you need more protection, more and more. Yes, he's part of your family, and it's amazing that you didn't know anything about him. It is amazing.
No idea. But we look quite similar. I've seen some pictures of him and I look quite similar to him in some of them, which is quite strange.
True, very true. Yes. What people don't know that people don't know that Ashtar is also taking care of on his spaceship of DNA research, and he has huge labs and a lot of engineers and scientists which are taking care and are doing a lot of DNA research. Why? Because so he's involved also in all this. He has also, it's also one of his mission. People don't really know. So a part of being a warrior and the fighter and the commander of Galactic Federation of Light He's in charge with DNA research. Why? Because people won't be able to ascend if their body will be a 3D body. So their body has to be changed. And there in the spaceship, they are doing a lot of research how to change the DNA, how to release the lack of power, how to release the trauma, how to release the judgment and the resentments, and people to be able to ascend and to have a higher body, a different body, different than the body, the 3D body. He's calling the 5D body, which is totally something else, with another chakras, with another system, and of course, with another mindset.
Yes. And
So,
I'm one of the scientists.
yes, you are the head. You are the head of his department of DNA department. But not only. I made a break because I wasn't sure if I should say it or not. You are also a warrior, and you are also going in. You are participating in fights with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a lot of jobs.
Yes.
No wonder I'm tired when I'm doing all this work. I'm on missions. I'm going on missions and I'm doing DNA stuff, which is why I'm doing DNA stuff here, because I'm just bringing my work over to here, which is pretty wild. Okay. So I think what should we do first? All right, maybe let's talk about the DNA strands and then we'll talk about the chakras. Okay,
Great.
let's do that. All right. All right. So, what's really interesting, because I know this is all pretty wild, and it's pretty wild for my brain as well. And I like data points. I think that if you have data points, then it all becomes a lot more understandable and believable. And what's been really interesting with the work with Quadrina is I work with a lot of different people, and we're coming back with the same information that Quadrina is coming back with. And she's saying something that she doesn't fully understand, which is really good because she's also translating it from Romanian, and there's there's going to be it's not easy, the stuff that we're talking about. But when she's coming with, we're asking questions, and she's quite shyly saying, "I'm not sure what this means. If this makes any sense to you, but Ashtar says you're going to understand it." And then my brain is just whizzing around, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that means that, and that means that, and that means that," and I'm piecing everything together because I've got a lot of information in my head. Then it's really reaffirming, and it means that it's a trustworthy source, that everything does make sense. So so I'm just going to tell some of the stuff which Quadrina didn't know, but she said slightly wrong, which also again proves that she didn't quite understand what she was saying, which is it's another data point. But there's a few, and I'm going to say a few of the ones that I've noticed which have been quite significant. All right. So as we know, I'm the head scientist in Ashtar's High Command, according to Quadrina. I don't have awareness of this, but it makes sense that I'm doing that sort of stuff because I'm working with DNA here. But it's, and a few other psychics have said that. This is not the first person who said that. I remember it was really interesting. The first person who said this was a friend of mine called Hero, who was in Amsterdam, and he'd ended up taking some acid, and he came and hung out with me years ago. Just remembered it. He came and hung out with me like at least more than 10 years ago. And I'd gone for lunch with his wife, and I'd gone for dinner and lunch with his wife and done nothing. We just had an early night, nothing special. And he went out and went to a party and took some acid. And he came to join us for lunch the next day. We were completely sober. He was a little bit still on acid. And he went, "Wow, you're on a spaceship." And I said, "What?" No, I'm having lunch. I'm in Holland having lunch. And now he's like, no, you're on a spaceship. That's where you are. And he could see the whole of the spaceship. I was like being a scientist on a spaceship, and he could see that because he'd opened up his third eye. Because he'd obviously taken hallucinogens. So that was the first time I'd heard that I was on a spaceship. So that was interesting. And I was like, really? What do you mean I'm on a spaceship? I'm just having lunch. Anyway, so that was the first time. And then there was another one, who's Spring, who's one of my advanced practitioners. She's been saying that I'm on a spaceship and I'm doing DNA manipulation and various different things for a while. So we started to work on, I do the Loosh system and then I'll do source code because I think it needs to be in some sort of structured order. Okay. DNA strands are very important. And there's been some research into it. And I love David Wilcox's work. David Wilcox is a fantastic wealth of information. And he, in one of his videos many years ago, and probably again, but the original one I saw years ago, he was talking about two scientists, one called Glenn Ryan and the other one called Leonard Lasko. And what Glenn Ryan discovered was that loving energy caused DNA strands to wind and heal. So if you think about a DNA strand, it's, the double helix, it's this swirly dirly thing like that. And what happens is that when you project loving energy to it, it solidifies, it winds and heals. And when you project negative energy, it unravels. Leonard Lasko took this work forward and he put DNA into test tubes, strands of DNA into test tubes. And after 2 hours, nothing much happened to them. They were pretty much exactly the same as they were when they started. And then he projected anger at one of the strands of DNA. And what it did was the strands of DNA unraveled and they died. Conversely, he got some other strands of DNA and he projected love at them and they wound and they healed. They sealed up and they healed. Right. So what happens is when DNA strands unravel, photons, which are particles of light, are released from DNA strands. This is one of the words that Quadrina, bless her soul, got muddled because photons and protons sound exactly the same. The only reason I know the difference between photons and protons is I'm a massive geek who's, been looking at this stuff for many, many years. Let me explain the difference. Protons probably don't exist according to some of the more up-to-date science, but it's to do with the electrons and it's going to get it muddled. It's the neutrons, electrons, and protons. Photons are the ones, they may not exist. There's a lot of debate about whether things are actually moving around in the way that they've said, because it's only a model. It might not actually exist. It's just one version. David Wilcox thinks it's to do with sacred geometry, and it's the Merkaba. But that's go much David Wilcox stuff if you want more information on this. But what is released is photons. A photon is a particle of light. So light is released from the DNA strands. And this is what the Loosh system is. Now, people may have heard of the Loosh system. I'm going to talk a bit more about this. My friends, my loved ones, we are not top of the food chain. I'm terribly sorry. We are not top of the food chain. Other multidimensional beings are. And they feed on emotional energy, aka Loosh. What happens is we get stressed out in some way, angry or stressed or sad or upset in some way. The DNA strands unravel, the photons are released, and the multidimensional beings come along, gobble, gobble, gobble. That's their food stuff. So they are incentivized to say horrible things to us to make us get stressed out, angry, upset, cry. And that's their food stuff. So if anyone has a monkey mind, the monkey mind is these multidimensional beings bullying you, being reverse cheerleaders, saying nonsense to you to make you get stressed out so they get their dinner. The more stressed out you become, the more food they get. This is why also things escalate with people. Stress escalates. Something like, let's look at, for example, a serial killer. They start by killing very small things. They start by killing insects, and then maybe they do a mouse, and it gets bigger and bigger. And if they do a cat, they often go on to doing humans. But what happens is they've got so much voices in the head. This is the same thing for self-harming. When people self-harm, I've spoken to many people who self-harm, and what happens is it makes they say that they have control. I mean, I think this is the same for everyone. Please correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect, but I have researched this for several years, and this is all I found. There may be more to it, but please tell me if there is more to it. What happens is when you cut your skin, your voices, your mind, your monkey mind, or the voices shut up because it's a sacrifice, and that feeds them, and then they stop talking because they've been satiated, they've been fed, and it stops. So they say they get control back, and their mind stops, that chatter stops. The same happens when you do something like an anorexic person will purge. It stops the chatter in their heads because it feeds these multidimensional beings, and that's their food system, is your suffering. And then they get full up and they think, I'm fine. And then your mind goes quiet. Serial killers, I've looked into this, and it goes quiet. They have quiet because the voices stop, because the voices are multidimensional beings feeding on this. This is well spoken about in a lot of the major religions in the world. In the Muslim faith, they have something called what's it called? Begins with an H. I've forgotten what it's called. Hajima. Why have I forgotten that? It's what it is. Hajima. I've totally forgotten the name. Damn it. What they do is in Chinese medicine, you have a cupping, you have vacuum cups, and what they do is hajime. It's very similar to that. They score your skin, and they put the vacuum cups on the skin, and it pulls out bad blood, which is congealed blood, but it actually stops what they call vapors. They call them the vapors. It's the spirits. They pull out spirits. I've spoken to people, I've had this done, and I've seen it done. They pull out the spirits, and what they do, actually, I was speaking to the guy about it because I was pulling these things out. No, they just call them spirits, actually, in the Muslim faith. What they do is they suck out, because they've got a suction thing with the suction thing, and it pulls out the spirits out of people, and then their brains calm down because the spirits are lost. We used to do it in England with leeches. And they used to have, the women were hysterical or had hysteria. What they used to do is put leeches on their skin, which suck the blood. And actually the spirits, or that was when they called the vapor, the spirits and vapors were sucked out via the leeches. So this is something which is spoken about a lot, but it's a sacrifice, and then the quietening of the brain, because this is what these multidimensional beings are feeding on. This is the loosh system, and this is how it works. So we were talking to you about that, but we were also talking about the source code, which is some of my new work, because I was working on Spring, and she had this fibroid. It was fibroids, but it's a benign tumor on her uterus, and she'd done a lot of work on it, and it wasn't working. So I thought, oh, what's behind the emotions? I normally work to dissolve disease. I normally work on the emotions which cause the disease, but it wasn't enough. And there's sometimes, if things are solidified, working the emotions isn't enough. So I was like, what's behind the curtain? What's behind that? And the answer was something I've called source code, which is what we're doing on level 13. And what it is reprogramming the DNA. So I was like, right, I need to reprogram the DNA, because the DNA is then what's creating this loosh system, and the thoughts, it's the loosh and the thoughts which are creating the diseases. So if I reprogram the DNA, then I can get rid of that programming. It's literally coding. It's almost like it's exactly like the lines of the matrix. I can see the green lines of the matrix and fiddling around with the coding. And then it's the coding to cause that disease is gone. So I did that on Spring, and then Spring saw me opening up the strands of DNA, playing around with the bits inside, and various colored lights that she never mentioned to me about. And then we went back to you, and you said exactly the same thing that Spring has said, and you named the colors of the lights, which I was unaware of. And Spring sort of burst into tears. She was just like, oh my God, I never told you that it was you can tell us what the colors are. I think purple and blue and something. It was she said you described it exactly what she'd seen as well, which was a beautiful data point. Go on.
Yes, I saw pink, light,
I think it was pink,
very
purple, and blue, maybe, or something. Yeah.
pink, blue, and light, but mm, a special sort of light, very, very. I don't know how to explain, but there were three colors,
Yeah.
three blue and a special sort of white light. White light. This is the word.
Yeah, and it was and that you saw exactly what I was doing, because I'm now reprogramming DNA as the head of this laboratory. Yeah. So that's how Loosh works. I think it's very important for people to understand how Loosh works. So this is why I can put a force field around people's head. And I did it with Ishmael Perez in the video that I did. And this is the one that Quadrina was speaking of. Because what I actually do is I put a force field between you and them. That's how I do that. It's a force field. So all of these beings who are telling reverse cheerleading, saying you're not good enough, you're too much of this, you're too little of that, you're no good. I put a force field in between them. So then your brain shuts up. And then that's what walking meditation is. It's not having these beings inside of you. And I live in walking meditation. There is no chatter in my mind at all. It's beings feeding on our emotional energy. And also what's really interesting as well, I know a lot of people watching this may be meditators, and it's the stilling of the monkey mind, but people are going at it from the wrong, well, they're going at it from a slow direction, not the wrong direction, a slow direction. The more light you have inside your body by doing religious practice, maybe, or spiritual practice, either, but by aligning yourself with source energy from either, reading the Bible, praising Jesus, to meditation, to yoga, to anything which is a high vibration, listening to vibrational music, doing healing on yourself, that sort of stuff, whatever one it is, the more light you have in your system, the less good food stuff you are. So they don't come for you as much. So the more light, the less darkness, the less traumas. Traumas is huge for this. The less traumas, or the more you've come to peace with your past and let go of traumas, the less of a bullseye you've got on your chest. And these beings feed on our emotional energy, but they want an easy dinner. Any animal, if you go to the Masai Mara, or if you go to, I don't know, anywhere, there's a hunter, and I've been there and I've seen lions go and take down gazelles or various animals that they're looking for their dinner. And they will pick one. They go for the weakest one. They go for someone old or someone young, and they see that one and they go, right, that's the one. And many of them, they zoom in front of them, but they have their eyes on the old one or the young one, the one who's not going to be too much of a fight. And this is what happens with these multidimensional beings. They are feeding on the people who look like they're easy. The more light you have, you're like, oh God, I'm not going to get a good meal out of that one. So then they leave you alone. So spiritual practice will in time still your monkey mind, but in a very indirect way, because the more light, the less good prey you are. And it's just as simple as that. When you start dissolving your traumas, then actually they don't come for you as much anyway. But as I said, the way that I stop and still people's monkey minds is simply by putting a force field between them and these beings.
It's amazing. Are you able to do this on what level?
I think it's 6. Yeah, but then there's more stuff coming later. Yeah. So there is more stuff. I've decided the new stuff, which I got on last week, a couple of weeks ago, it's very interesting. It's about narcissistic. Well, it started from narcissistic personality disorder and what happens with that. So I dated a narcissist. I was engaged to a narcissist. And I think most spiritual people have dated narcissists. Maybe everyone has, but I'm around lots of spiritual people, and most of my girlfriends, at least, and a number of my male friends have definitely dated narcissists. And and I researched them because I don't know how I got hoodwinked, and I want to understand it more. I probably got hoodwinked because now I've researched it extensively and continually to try and understand what's going on with them, what's going on with us, how to fix all this stuff in us. And I look at the work of Richard Grannon. He's got a great YouTube channel. I recommend checking him out if you don't know him. And there was one video which really, I've been watching his videos for years. And there was one that really stuck out to me, which I saw a few weeks ago, which is about colonization. So when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, initially they say beautiful things to you, they love bomb you, and you feel like you've met your soulmate. They can really adapt to you, and they really, it feels like they are so aligned, but they're lying. It feels that they're so aligned and so with you. What they do is they put you on a pedestal, and then you feel, it's so sweet and so much, and it feels like you're falling in love, because actually normally in a loving relationship it's quite slow and you're both a bit tentative and you're getting to know each other. In a narcissistic one, it's just like, it's like love at first sight, this huge thing, and you feel like, oh my God, it is the one, and this is how love should feel. But it tends to be that they're love bombing you and saying these things to get you to then let your guard down so they can get into you, so that they can then actually take you over. Because what they want to do is merge with you. They merge with us and then take over our brains. It's wild. And they do something, according to Richard Grannon, but also, data on this and psychology on this. They do something called colonizing. They colonize your brain and they take over your thoughts. And so you end up thinking about things that you would never think about. Maybe you develop a paranoia that you didn't have. Maybe you get worried about things you wouldn't have been. They literally take over your brain. And so you are not having just your own thoughts. Their thoughts are taking over your brain. And then you're in this complete mess. And then you're completely addicted to them. It's bad, but they've overwhelmed your thoughts, and you can't think for yourself anymore. They've literally dominated your head. And then they've got, and then if you break up with them, it also feels like you're abandoning a child as a mother. It feels like you're abandoning them, and it's absolutely awful. And then you end up going back to these relationships because your brain gets taken over. It's terrible. So I had a friend of mine ended up in that sort of situation recently, and he looked like he was under a spell. I had one of my other psychics, Renee, look into it, and she saw this interesting things that, like, black and white, when they do hypnosis on someone, they use the black and white circle, the black and white spinners, like little spinning tops, and that was what was in his eyeballs. And I ended up developing this new energy to decolonize him, to get rid of all of this structure. So it's this loose network structure that they're living in, and I collapsed it. And then his eyes went bright blue again. They went like they were piercing blue again. And then he seemed really happy and he seemed really calm. Because I think this colonization is not just about narcissists. I think it's anxiety, addiction, OCD. I think it's all the same thing. And interestingly, I worked on someone on Saturday who had severe OCD, severe OCD. He couldn't work. He was in a mess. And I haven't heard from him since. I did make him promise to email me, and I think I might have scared him in a way, because I think it's too big for a random person at a trade show to just completely clear your OCD. It's a huge, ridiculous thing. So what I did was I asked him about his OCD. So OCD, and again, I've interviewed a lot of people about this and asked this, because I've been researching it for more than a decade, all this sort of stuff, at least nearly two. And what happens when you have OCD is you have this chatter in your mind, or these multidimensional beings telling you things and making you do things. And normally it goes something along the lines of, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, something bad is going to happen to your family. And often it's your family are going to die, or something terrible is going to happen to your family. And you have to maybe wash your hands 50 times, maybe have to walk through a doorway, maybe have to step onto the curb, left foot forward. There's all these different things that they do. In his particular case, he had to walk through a door. So I cleared it and I decolonized his brain, and his brain went quiet. I said, "Is your brain quiet?" And he said, "Yes." Because I could check into it and I could see it. And I was like, I can't see colonization. I collapsed it and got rid of it. And then I made him. So I said, okay, how can we test this? I think it's gone, but let's test it. And I said, what would be triggering for you here at the NEC, which is a huge place. I mean, it's a wild, I was at a trade show. And he said, walking through the doorway. So I said, okay, let's go walk through the doorway. So I made him walk up to the doorway, and I made him walk through the doorway. And normally what would happen is have to walk through the doorway until the chatter quietened down. So it was subdued. So it got enough of this loosh from him getting stressed out that it got full, and then it shut up. So that's what he would do. He'd walk through it as many times as he needed to walk through it until it was just quiet in his head, until they had been fed, and then he could be going on his way. But I would bully, 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 bully until it was enough. So I made him walk through this doorway. I went, how are you? And he was, I mean, mind blown, baffled. And I said, how are you feeling? He went, I don't know. Good. Okay. And I said, is the chatter there? Are you being told to walk through it? He goes, no, but it feels really weird. And I said, yes, you've had OCD from what, can't work, can't live, can't really leave the house very much. And for at least more than 10 years, it's been crippling OCD, terrible thing. And I said, do you feel like you need to walk through the doorway? And he said, no. And he just was it was a very strange situation. He goes, I feel like I want to. I said, is that more like a habit? Is it a habit, or is it that you feel that you actually need to? And he said, huh. And we stood there for a few minutes. He didn't walk through the doorway. Obviously, it's a compulsion. He would have to do it. And I said, okay, let's walk back to the stage. So back through the same door. And then he walked through it, and it was like, I was so, he's like, why am I not, what is going on? And I said, do you have the compulsion? He goes, it feels weird. And I said, yeah, because you're used to the action of it, but does it feel uncomfortable? He said, no, it's like something's missing. Well, the colonization is missing. And then we went back to the stand, and I said, how are you feeling? I asked him to sit for a few minutes and see how he felt. And I mean, it was just very, very profound and huge for him. I have asked him, and I hope he will email me and tell me, hopefully it's lasted. If there's more to do, then there's more to do. But even being able to do it in the moment, it looks like it's gone. It looks to me like the colonization is gone, and that's the new stuff. And I think this will work across the board for so many different things. So anyway, that's my new stuff. And I just did you as well, Kodrina, before we got on. How are you feeling? And how does all
Yes,
that sound?
I'm feeling great, and I want to tell you something. All my YouTube followers knows me as a very sensitive person, which from time to time, when she speaks, she started to cry. Sometimes I don't even know why I'm crying while I'm speaking. It's like, I feel like a feeling of unworthiness, something like this. And people who will see our podcast and who are my followers, we're gonna be amazed, because I think it's the first time when I'm speaking and I'm not crying, and I'm not with very getting very emotional. So it is amazing, and everybody gonna ask me, it's good you told what you did to me, because they would ask anyway.
Yeah. I think it's the latest breakthrough. I do think there's colonization, and I think most of us are colonized, because I think most of us have what we call self-deprecating thoughts, or this, you're not good enough. These not good enough thoughts, everyone pretty much has. You're not good enough. You're too much of this, too little of this. You're not, well, you know what your stories are, and everyone has their own ones. But that's the colonization, which is really interesting.
Wow. So level 13, you already included in the level 13?
Yeah, I added that as a Brucey bonus extra to level 13.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I haven't even told my team, because it happened on Saturday. I need to say to everyone, no one knows yet, just the people who were with me. I need to tell everyone that. We have a meeting on next week. It was my birthday on Monday, and I'm running around so much. I haven't had a moment to tell people that that's the new stuff. They know about working on my friend, but they don't know about this guy at the trade show. So we will see what happens with that one, because I think that this is a huge breakthrough, and it's I've been looking for it for a long time because anxiety plagues so many people and it's so difficult to fix. And I think I've just found one move. I'm always looking for that one move that then it just does the whole bloody job and it does it quickly. And it's like, if you just collapse the network and it's gone. And I'm looking, it's always what's behind that, what's behind that, what's behind that, what's behind that, always trying to work out what the thing is behind. And yeah, I think I found the thing behind it.
It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. I know how I'm feeling now, and I have to tell that I asked you, is this thing gonna last?
I think so. I think so. So yeah, it looks like it's on the people. I mean, I've only been doing this for maybe 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and I'm checking in to see if it needs doing again, and it doesn't. So that's good. I think that you can definitely build it again if you choose to go into another abusive relationship, or you have traumas from some horrible situation. But it's normally takes a lifetime to get to that stage. So you would have to work quite hard to rebuild it. Which I don't recommend, but you could do it to some degree. So it looks like that could be the fix for anxiety, which I know is a very, very difficult thing. All right. So what did Ashtar want us to talk about?
Ashtar want to talk about how much time do we have, because I
We
have
can keep going. I think we should just keep going because I think this is an interesting video, and yeah, let's keep going. So what does he want us to talk about?
About your methods and the difference between what I was doing and your methods, and also
The chakra
I
stuff.
didn't.
Oh,
Yes, I will tell about the chakra also in the channeling at the end.
yeah,
In
yeah.
the channeling I prepared for you at the end. But what he wanted me also to say about him, out of these things that he's taking care and doing research, DNA research, and he has a lot of engineer and people who are doing research, DNA research. He told me to just a moment. I made also some notes. About solar flash, good I noted. It's good I noted because I was in a meditation, and during channeling I'm not able to. I don't remember. I'm not able to remember. So he told me something very interesting, that when the solar flash will come, and it is possible next year in the second half. Yes, but not sure. But it is possible. People will ascend in stages, and they're gonna take care of us, because not we're not healed completely, and they have to take care of us to change our bodies and our mindset. And what are they doing right now? They are working on the people who are awakened, and know what is ascension. They are working on their chakras, and the chakras will move a bit, not a lot, will move a bit. And this will be the mark, his mark, and his team, the mark for his team to in this case, they are able to take us on the spaceship. Yes, if they see on the chakras, if they are looking at you, and if your chakras are a bit removed, they are not in the same place. That means you have to go in the first stage of ascension, and you will have to go on the spaceship, or taking somebody, I think somebody from your school, you're already doing this,
Yeah, I'll
will
tell you about that in a
yes,
minute.
will take care of these people, of their chakras. So this will be in stages, and one of them, a part of the people will go on the spaceship, another part will stay on the earth, and maybe your team and people like, but I think now I know only you who's doing like this, will take care of us and to modify our body, to change our body into a fifth dimensional body.
Yeah.
So this is what he
He
told
wants us to
me.
talk about this because it was interesting. So I'm going to get into what I do on my level 7 course in a moment, which is Quadrina again had no clue because she's just taken level 4. So she doesn't know what's on level 7, and I don't advertise too much what's in the courses because it's a mystery school, and it's you have to take the courses to then know what's in the next courses. So I do a bit of it, but I don't go into too much detail about it. So Quadrina was visited by Ashtar, and he started changing your and maybe was it what happened the other day with your chakras? Tell us the story.
I was awake in the middle of the night, and there are a lot of entities over me, and I got scared. And finally, I saw Ashtar, and I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he told me, "I am changing your chakras. You cannot go into 5D with this chakra and with this body." So after I asked him, "How come it will be you're gonna remove all the chakras?" And he said, "No, a little bit." And the solar flare also, the CMAs are doing something like this, but this is the mark. They know that you have to be in the first stage, otherwise they won't take you and give you helping you to change your body.
Okay. So what's really interesting about this? Oh, also, I remembered the word of the cupping that the Muslim people do. It's called hijama. So if anyone wants to go and experience this, it just came to my brain just now with the slicing of the skin with the scalpel and then the cupping with the vacuum cups. It's called hijama to remove the spirits from people. Just to clarify that one because it just came to my brain. Okay, so it's really interesting because Quadrina was telling me that Ashtar visited her and started playing around with her chakras, and I went, we do that. And she said no. So this is again, some of this wisdom is from David Wilcock. A lot of the stuff that I do, he's gone and done a load of research, and I've made a lot of these things possible and physical by sort of using some of the wisdom and the universal wisdom that he's gone and researched after a lot of painstaking hours, and I've gone and made the magic to fit with his program. So he's a big influence in my life, and David, I love you. David Wilcock is great. Anyway, so what I did, and there are a few other people who are working on this, but basically his stuff, and there's other people who actually don't want me to talk about them, so I'm not going to say their name, but there are some people who've done a lot of research into different things, but they specifically are nervous about the way that I'm doing things, but I'm using magic and divinity, and they were using different techniques which were a little bit dangerous. But they say that the chakras, the meridians specifically are fungal pathways, which is really interesting because I've worked on my meridians and now my meridians have spread out. So all my level 7 students, this happens to. So they're much wider channels. So a lot more energy can get around. But it's I followed something which David talks about, which is about what Napoleon did and what happens in the Great Pyramid. So the Great Pyramid has the sarcophagus. And we're saying that it's a burial chamber. It is not. It's an ascension chamber. And what they used to do is these adepts, who were ones who were gaining spiritual wisdom, had to go and do some very, very scary things to prepare themselves for a night in the sarcophagus at the Great Pyramid. Now, what they would have to do is do things like swim across crocodile infested waters and not be scared. They would have a knife, like a sword at their chest, by their chest, and not show fear. They would, now modern days, they have things like guns pointed at them and be calm about the whole situation. And it means that you're very zen, because what happens is when you go into this sarcophagus, the Great Pyramid, you have a dark night of the soul, but a never-ending one on acid or on the biggest, craziest things. So all of the things that you have fears of happen, all of them. And it scares you to absolute death. And many people die during this initiation. This is what they used to do. This is what Jesus did before he became as he was later. Before he got all his abilities, it looks like Jesus did this before he got his abilities, and other people before him, because there are other people who had the ascended abilities that he had before him, not so many after, but certainly before him. This was an ancient mystery schools practice. So you go and you clear all your traumas, you clear all your fears, you clear all of your stuff, and then you go and spend a night in the pyramid, in the sarcophagus. And many people wouldn't make it. You have to be very, very prepared. It takes a lifetime to be able to do it. And then you come out and you have, like, your energy system is upgraded. And one of the upgrades that happens is your chakras get expanded. Now, as everybody knows, and this is very political, the chakras, people don't like to necessarily hear this information, but I'm hoping my audience is open to these things, because it does annoy people, because people are very devoted to their chakras. Also, any fixation that anyone has, anything they feel fundamental about, or anything that you have to shove down someone else's throat, is to do with the colonization. If you are fanatical about anything and not open to hearing people's opinions, when it goes from politics to diet to anything else, if you are, it's only my opinion that matters, trying to shove it down someone's throat and like completely about it, that's colonization. Because when you're calm about things, you should be calm and rational about everything. So if you're not, then that's colonization, that's fanaticism. So anyway, that was a segue. So what happens is, I think that the chakras have shells around them. I think that they are in these specific locations, and I call them prison cells, and it's triggering to people, but they are compartmentalized and they're put in these different locations, and they have like a crust around the outside of them, which is like a cell to compartmentalize our energy system. The chakras should not be separate from one another. The chakras should be, they still can live in that area, but much more expanded, and they can move around and they can do different things, but they don't have that hard shell around them, which is keeping them round. They start to work holistically. They start to work together. Then you'll get some abilities. Your abilities increase exponentially when your chakras aren't limited by encasing them. And that's what happens to everyone. So once you've got rid of the outer shell around your chakras, then your chakra system can start to evolve. And what happens to your energy system is, after that, it goes golden. And I call it the Great Ball of Fire. This is in level 7. You take level 7, this happens to you. And then you start to develop wings. And I've got wings. And this is why I call angel warriors. You get your wings in level 7, and then you can start doing some big stuff. Because according to Quran, only angels can slay demons. And it's important to be strong enough to be able to do that. And I make people's energy systems angelic, so then they can go to war. Because don't make no mistake, my friends, we're at war. I stopped slaying demons because I don't need to. What I do now is I've built many universes, because I realize they are slaves. They are slaves from other higher ups. And it's a terrible situation. And they're stealing a loaf of bread to feed their family. And so would you. So what I've realized is there's so many hierarchical systems with that. So instead of that, I free them. So I send them now to different universes that I've built. I build universes, many, many universes, thousands, millions of universes I've built for these different beings. And I send them to there. And that is where they go and live out their lives in peace and harmony, without being under slavery from these horrible, horrible beings. And it's basically, I have to build different ones for different species, because they don't all like the same stuff. You know, they're just, some of them want, some of them want Gotham, and some of them want the Garden of Eden, and they're very different. And if you put someone who's used to Gotham City in the Garden of Eden, it's going to freak them out. They're not going to know what to do. So they have to be the ones which are according to the right being. So I've built many, many universes, and I've become a divine travel agent. That's what I do now. So instead of being a slayer, which I still have the ability to do, absolutely, and if I have to, I have to. And it's, you know, I offer them lead or gold. and I send them to paradise of whatever their paradise is, and they live out their lives in happiness. And I became this divine travel agent because I was getting a lot of vendettas. There was a lot of aggression coming back towards me from these multidimensional beings because you're killing their families. There's a gang war with these multidimensional beings that got messy. So now it's pretty wild. So now I don't do that. Now I send them to different dimensions, and now I'm very popular universally because I'm saving souls, many billions of souls, and sending them to beautiful places, freeing people on different levels. And that's what you can do without your chakra system. You start to have an energy system that works. And it's really interesting because when we started slaying, that you can see them. A lot of my psychics are very visual, and no one has been able to do this for the longest time, for thousands of years. It's very rare being able to do this sort of work, and they just think we're stupid humans. And suddenly we're like, bam, boom, 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 and killing these things. Before we evolved and learned that there's a better way of doing it, we didn't know that at the beginning. And they were laughing in our faces until they realized we could do something. And then they won, what the hell? They were so shocked because no one has been able to touch them for such a long time. They're just like, nee, 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 nee. And we're like, no, actually, we can do things. And they're like, who is this? What is this? So that's what I'm doing now. So that's all level 7. So once you expand your chakras, you start to get your wings and your great ball of fire, and then you start to get the ability to then be able to work on this loose system, and then you get better, and then you can do the multidimensional beings and start portaling them to different places where they, these beautiful places which have been created for them. There you go.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
Yeah. So Ashley wanted me to talk about that. So I will talk about that stuff. It's, yeah, that's what I do. That's what we do as the divine empowerment. That's, it's very important to be able to do this work because it's freeing a lot of lost souls and enslaved races from different planets, different beings. And, I think it's very important not to necessarily be judgmental on what these beings are termed as, because they're just in servitude. And so freeing them is the right way. And I have a thing about, and I really stand by as much as I possibly can, about everybody winning in a way that everyone is actually winning. I know sometimes people say everybody wins, and that's a sneaky way of them winning and dominating you so that you lose and then they win. This is a real win-win situation, freeing, not necessarily for the higher ups on the dark side, but they find it all quite amusing, actually. They don't even hate me for it. They're just like, that was clever. I think they appreciate that. And I'm sending all these beings off to live out the rest of their lives in happiness with and they've also got all this, they've got all the food that they need. They're living in paradise, whatever their paradise looks like. I build it according to these different beings and the different what they're into. It's very different for different beings. And then I can drop off different food. Sometimes I send them people's traumas because I suck out people's traumas and put them to them. And it's almost like I'm dropping supplies of this like really dirty food for them, but they love it because it's their sort of junk food. I'm like airdropping in junk food for them because they're living and it's all this amazing, beautiful, the most divine food that they could have, like like endless, amazing, high grade food. But occasionally they want some junk food, so I sort of airdrop in traumas as the junk food, and they're like very grateful for it because they enjoy eating that, and that was the food stuff they had for a long time, for millennia. Yeah, that's what I do.
This is amazing. I was wondering, when I was working with your methods, I was wondering where I'm sending the traumas. Where are the traumas going? Now I found out. Are you going to teach us also to make universes?
I don't. There's only 2 energies I haven't been able to teach. That's one of them. And the other one is about my menstrual cycle. I can turn my menstrual cycle on and off at will. I can't teach that to anyone. I don't know why. I can't teach that, and I can't teach the building universes. So because I don't know, there are certain things which are just about my energy system. But I have there are millions of them, so you don't even need to. You just have to intend to send them wherever they're supposed to be, and they just go and join that place. So you don't really need to. It's quite technical, and I do think that that's a bit of a slightly dangerous one to be doing, simply because I think it puts a bit of a target on your back when you can do that sort of stuff. So there are certain things which I am able to do, only those two that I can think of. So yeah, but you don't need to, because they're all in place.
Wow, it's great. Now I finally understood that what you're telling Miami Five Stars Hotel. Send them to Miami Five in one of the courses. You're telling us that send them to Miami Five.
Five-star resort in the Bahamas. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I was like, what? How? They are not good. How to send them there? Now I
It's not that they're not good, it's that that's all they know. I want to zoom out on that for people, because it's very easy to think they are the ones who are saying horrible things to us to make us feel very bad emotions. But why are they doing that? I really like to look at the why. Why is it they're saying those things, and what's going on in their lives? Like, hurt people hurt people. That is a huge thing. When people are kind and happy, when people are happy, they are kind. When people are unhappy, they are mean. It's just what happens. So if you sort of try and go from a higher perspective, a place of oneness rather than duality, and realize that this is a situation that's going on, then it becomes easier to sort of see that, even if you have been victimized by these, like, why are they doing that? But they are in slavery, and what's happening to them? One, they've had horrible things happen to them, and two, that's their food. And if they don't do this, they don't eat, and their family are under threat. They are, they've got these horrible bosses on top of them who said that they have to do X, Y, and Z. If they don't do it, they don't eat. If they don't do it, their family are in danger. They have to. That's all they have. But when you take them out of that situation and you send them to paradise, where all the food is free, where all the supplies are done, and you do healing, they need healing as well, but they start to relax because they're not living in survival anymore.
they got happy and they feel safe.
Yeah, but they are safe. So you wanted to talk about the healing methods, the comparison between what you were doing before and what we're doing now. Do you want to touch on that?
Yes, I think it's a huge. It's something unbelievable. I was working a lot, and Ashtar was near me, and I was entering into childhood people, and they were telling me a lot of stories, and all the time I wanted to hang up of the phrases they were telling, and then to clear them, and I was clear the phrases, doing a deep meditation and activation, then using Saint Germain or Metatron, or no matter one of the ascended master. I was used to work with one of the ascended masters, and it was okay. People were happy. You can solve the truth. The truth is you solve people problems 80% if you are good. In the best case, this is the truth. You are not solving completely their traumas. You are not able to change completely their mindset. All the time they are coming after bad experience, they are coming back and still saying to me, okay, but I thought I am now, I trust more in myself, I'm more self-confident, and look what happened to me, and again I'm back again down. I feel down. So you came with your method, and it is very, very easy. And people, I have to tell you something. My clients, I told them, okay, now we are using Antonia's methods. Close your eyes. Let's delete the trauma. And I'm deleting the trauma, and suddenly, not only one, most all of them, opened immediately their eyes after they reach level zero. They after they were not able to find to
So
feel
let's
anything.
just explain what you're actually saying for people who are unfamiliar with my work. So when we work to dissolve the emotional resonance of trauma, we ask for somebody to think of a trauma and they grade it out of 10, 10 being the worst, 0 being it doesn't exist within their system, and they think about the situation and they go, oh, that's a very triggering, upsetting situation, and that's maybe an 8 out of 10. And then what we do is we dissolve. Well, it depends on the level. There's many different techniques. Some of them we portal them as the care packages to the demons who are like, yum, yum, yum. They're very happy for they're very happy for it. And sometimes we're just dissolving it and neutralizing it. There's various different techniques, but basically what feels very upsetting becomes neutral. It becomes empty of emotions. The Buddhists call it non-attachment. I call it fast track forgiveness, but it becomes peaceful and still. It becomes flat. You think about it and no reaction happens. The fireworks is the upset. And you think about it and it's just still water. It's peace. Peace is flat. And sometimes people get confused with that being numb, but numb is actually, it's still there. It's hiding behind a wall. It just doesn't exist in your conscious anymore. So you can play it out, you can think about it, and you just feel, so what about it? And many people end up giggling after you do the healing because there's something which was so traumatic for them is now completely empty and benign. They just go, oh my God, why was I so caught up in that situation? And something very, very horrible situations, not just lighter ones. It's very, very big, deep situations which have been troubling for decades, which and they suddenly just go into just this neutral. We just dissolve them or portal them out. So just to explain that. So back to you, Quadrina.
So I'm dissolving the trauma. They are reaching zero level, and suddenly they open their eyes and looking at me. What did you do to me? What did you do to me? I don't feel anything. It is amazing. They are it was so funny and amazing. And they said, relax. I'm telling them, relax. I didn't do anything wrong. You feel so much peace that you are not used to feel. So that's why you are like, what did you do to me? And now they really love it. And it's the work is very easy for the healer, and the results are instant. What people are asking me is exactly what I ask you: if all these effects will last, if they are not supposed to feel.
It's never come back. With the trauma thing, I've been doing that at least 15 years. It's never come back. If it does, let me know. I worked on thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, and it hasn't come back in tens of thousands of people, but maybe it will. If it does, then actually that stuff is never going to come back. It's just gone. It doesn't exist in your consciousness anymore. The newer stuff, I always go, oh, is that going to come back? Just because I've got not that much experience with it, like the colonization. I did everyone in my level 13, so 25. I've done less than 30 people. So I'm pretty sure it's not going to come back, but we're only 3 weeks in, so we can figure that out. If it hasn't come back in anyone out of that, but it's too soon to know that is a categorical thing. When I've been doing the other one and tens of thousands of people over 15 years, I can pretty much say that won't come back. It never has, and it won't. And anyway, we've got more techniques to do things. That's not ever going to come back. It's gone. The anxiety is harder, and the colonization stuff is harder because there's beings involved who are saying different things. If it's a past trauma, then it's just something which is stuck in your energy field. The anxiety, they've got these different beings so saying horrible things to you to get upset about it. So there's moving parts to it. The stuff which is just like a bag of trauma, it just goes. But the stuff with moving parts is infinitely harder to fix because there are beings invested in doing that, and so they'll keep saying things to you to feed, basically. But I'm 98% certain that that's going to be the fix.
Great, and it's good you told you are telling this, because it's something, if I am telling them and I'm assuring them that the trauma won't come back,
Trauma won't ever
and
come back.
this
Yeah,
is
I
this
mean, if ever it does, let us know, because what the hell's happened? And it's a learning and growing experience, but it's not going to, not with traumas. It never has, and it never has once. It's too long. It's been too long, and I've got too many other techniques, because you can do this in level 1. This is a level 1 technique, dissolving traumas you learn to do in level 1. So, and then it just gets bigger traumas quicker of doing it. And then obviously you progress up, and then you can do more things as you progress up the levels, and you become an angel warrior at level 7, which is pretty damn cool if you ask me. But you do have to do the work first, otherwise it can be a bit hairy. It's not as hairy as we thought it was going to be. But initially we were a bit worried, because people who were doing it with a different modality really had problems, like serious problems. So the first time we did it, we were nervous, and we had a whole buddy system to make sure that we were buddied up with someone else in case something happened, because we worried about intrusive thoughts and scary things. But nothing happened. Nothing happened, apart from I mean, the thing is, it depends how quickly you take these courses. So you had an interesting experience, because you did what, 4 levels in 2 weeks?
yes, but
Yeah.
but I was destroyed. I
Yeah,
wasn't
you're on your ass. If you do it that quickly, you're going to be on your ass. It's like, that's 2 years of work. It took me 2 years or a year and a half to pull that through. So yeah, it is. Yeah, it's hard on your system if you do it that fast.
for me it was something amazing. I was so happy, and of course, I did a lot of mistake. I was working during the day, and
Mm,
then during the night I couldn't stop myself watching you and what
the
yes, and
courses.
learning the courses. And in 2 weeks it was like, it was amazing. I knew everything. I started to work on people, but I was destroyed. And that was the moment when I wrote you and I asked you to help me, because I was exhausted. I
Yeah.
took a lot of vitamins and a lot of things to be able to work.
Yeah. People get very, very excited. And the comment that I get the most from my practitioners is, this is what they've been looking for their entire life. They've been
Yes.
looking for this their entire life. Do you feel the same about that?
Yes, I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
And believe me, my clients are telling me that it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. They are um, they are going at their homes. They are staying actually in their homes. When we finish the session, they are happy. I like this. I love this idea to run joy through their energy system, and at the end, all the time, I'm running joy through their energy system. And they were, "What did you do to me? I'm so happy and relaxed." And it's unbelievable.
Mm. It's the future of healing. This is really the most cutting edge stuff there is. And so what you were telling me privately as well, we were talking about this, and I'm not sure if it's been explained fully here, is that what Ashtar is saying is that until people's chakra system is upgraded, we cannot have the solar flash, and we cannot ascend to 5D.
Um, I asked him more details,
Hmm.
and he told me that they need this beginning, and then all his team will fix completely the chakras.
Okay, so only a few of us need to do it one way. I was wondering if there was a like a universal way of doing it. So one of the questions that I was asking Quadrina is there something that we can do, me and my practitioners do on a planetary level? It doesn't have to be this sarcophagus version of it, but is there a smaller version of it, which means that then we can have the solar flash, and then we can evolve, which we can do globally. But then I was also wondering about the ethical implications of whether that was appropriate to do or whether it wasn't appropriate to do. And there's a lot of moving parts with it, but I'm just seeing if there's something that we can do to help everyone's chakras to change and to evolve to the next stage.
Yes,
I don't
yes,
have it yet.
you don't have it.
Not yet. That's going to hurt. So these things, yeah, these downloading this magic is not fun. It hurts my body a lot. And I was saying the other day, when people get to the higher levels, especially when you're taking the higher level live, because all the videos are recorded so people can watch them at their leisure, because everyone's in different time zones and people have different schedules. When you're taking the higher levels, most people vomit. That's typical. And most people are absolutely exhausted. And most people are just completely, it's very, very, it's tired. It's completely reconfiguring your energy system. It's a huge reconfiguring thing. It's changing your DNA. It's reconfiguring the whole of who you are. It's a lot on your body. So yeah, most people have, I like, especially when they go and power through it, because I've had people get to level 13 in 2 months. They're just like, they get very excited because everyone wants to do the top live class because they've been watching the videos for so long, and they just feel very connected to everything, and they want to get on the live, and they just push through, and then they often do end up feeling pretty exhausted because they push through. So it's important that you notice when you're feeling tired and then take a break. And then
So what do you suggest? Two courses every two weeks, or how? Because I want to know.
It depends on the individual system and how sensitive they are. Because it's already been through for a while, a number of years now, especially the lower levels. You can do them more easily. The more people who do the courses, the more integrated it is into consciousness, so the easier it is for everybody else. But it depends. Some people can do them no problem, and some people need to take them a bit more slowly. I think people just need to notice that. I mean, there was one lady, Elizabeth, and she's done it in like 3 months, and she didn't really have any problems until she got to level 13, and then she got a bit tired. She did level 12. She's just messaged me and said, "Oh, I'm going to do level 12 today, and I'm going to do level 13 tomorrow." And level 13 was a brand new level. And I went, "Whoa, all right, you do you, boo." And then she got a bit tired afterwards. But it was just, she managed to do that. And she said that she didn't have any problems at all. So it depends on the person's sensitivity. And I think people just need to, have autonomy over themselves and work at a pace that they think is okay. But some people have done it in as little as a couple of months. Some people take a year to do it. It depends on finances. It depends on how tired people are getting, and whether they have other commitments that they need to be doing first or at the same time.
I see. I will have to take care, but I'm sure I'm gonna do the same thing.
You have to just, it's very, because people are like, "Oh my goodness, I've got magic." It's just the most fun thing. And then they see what they can do to help themselves and to help other people. And then it's just, it's very hard to stop taking them, because it's very, very exciting. I mean, it's funny for the students who I've had for longer, because they're looking at these people going, "You lucky, lucky ducky, because goodness, you've got all of this magic, and one, you've not had to suffer for it, because we all suffered for it. There is an element of suffering for it. You've got it, and it's just been that easy for you, and we had to wait years, and we suffered. So there is like you lucky person for it." Was that every? I know you have a closing message that Ashtar wants to read in a moment. Was there anything else that we were meant to discuss?
Just a moment. I will check. And no,
I think that's most of it.
I think I said everything I needed to say.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, what's your closing message from Ashtar? Would you like to read it?
Yes, I translated it, and I want to read it. It's a message for the end of the year and the first half of the new year. I hope I'm not I'm not getting emotional. Hello, dear people. I'm Ashtar, and I'm glad to be here with you again. I have a message for you for the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. It's a beautiful and important message. First of all, I want to say thank you to all the light workers who worked for us and did their best alongside the Galactic Federation. Thank you to all those who work consciously and also to the ones who were unaware of it. And sometimes during their sleep, they came to our ships and helped us, thus becoming exhausted for many days in a row. It has been a difficult year for all of you, a year in which many of you have been seriously challenged. But I want you to know that we are up here and we can see every one of you. We can see you every effort. For most of you, the end of this year will represent the beginning of terminal karmic endings. Year 2024 will be a new kind of a year. During its first half, it will seem like an ordinary one. But starting with the second half, you will all feel that you are in a new world and dimension, especially those who have worked on themselves and are already awakened. Until the middle of 2024, all those who worked on themselves consciously and were at our service for the liberation of the planet, they will all end their karma and they will start changing their bodies from the carbon to the crystal. All your chakras must be relocated. Starting with the end of the year, many of you will have your chakras relocated because you must identify yourselves with the new human being and have a completed karma and the new body which is suitable for the fifth dimension. That kind of body has all its chakras working as one. These chakras are scattered throughout the human energy system, but they function as one, helping you to be stronger and perform better in your life. Those people will get to the first wave of ascension to the new earth and will experience the beginning of their chakras relocation. In fact, this is our mark so that when the solar flash comes, we will know exactly whom we have to save and bring to the new earth. This recent year has been full of emotion for you, full of challenges, and of course, everything is at her or his level of evolution. Year 2024 will be about something else. It will be about ascension, about karma release, about traumas release, and you will feel exactly what the human suitable for the fifth dimension is supposed to feel. That kind of being who is specific to the fifth dimension. You have already made or are making a big step now, and not only do you end your karma and get rid of your traumas, but your bodies are also changing rapidly so that you may evolve and be able to live on the new earth. Get ready because nothing in your life as you know it will be ever the same in 2024. Prepare yourself because nothing you have felt and known so far ever be the same. It could be an year of fulfilled wishes for some of you, an year of opening some gates that haven't been opened for the humanity so far. You are in the final phase, and very soon many of you will experience a new beginning. But you must take into consideration that this new beginning comes with physical pain, otherwise, you can't transform yourselves. The caterpillar can't turn into a butterfly without physical pain. This beginning also comes with such special things that you won't have to think about, but you have to feel them with all your heart and body and make the right decision. I'm getting emotional at the
Yeah,
right
me
time.
too.
um, we are here with you, monitoring everything and supporting you in every step you take. You'll have a fabulous year full of unprecedented events. Goodbye for now. I'm Ashtar.
That's beautiful.
Sorry for my emotional state.
Not at all. It's beautiful. Oh, well, thank you, Ashtar. And thank you, Kodrina. This is just so
Thank you.
beautiful and so fun, isn't it?
Yes, it was amazing, and the Romanian people will fall in love with you, the one who don't know you already, and I'm sure that they a lot of them who are awakened already, they will search for your courses and for your healings.
Thank you. Beautiful. Woo! Right. Well, I think that's the end of the talk. I think we'll do another one in a while when we have more information. If we have some updates that Ashtar wants us specifically to put out, we can talk again. I mean, we talk all the time, but we'll talk again publicly. And there's always questions coming to my mind. I'm like, what does Ashtar think about this? And then she's asking Ashtar, and we're coming back, and I'm sharing it with my advanced practitioners who are like, ooh, and then they're asking questions, and we're all just playing this. It's really fun. Yeah, but I think we'll publicly talk when we've got some more things that we need to be talking about. If anyone has any questions that they want for Kodrina, you can email her. You can either put them in below and also like and subscribe if you haven't already, or you can email Kodrina directly, and it's ashtarlessons@gmail.com if you have specific things. One other thing, do remember that we open with this with, and don't you forget, he won't do personal readings. He is not interested in doing personal readings. This is what Kodrina said in the beginning. He will not talk to people personally. And that was the other thing which was really interesting about it as well, because I am the only person he would do personal things for, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, and I don't know what happened, but I have to tell you that I am channeling very easy, and all my abilities have improved in an amazing way. And I
Mm.
think this was one of the gifts, and maybe because I'm working with you, uh, I'm feeling that I'm doing my mission.
Oh, that's really beautiful. I think that I think that I'm very close with him, and I think that it's a really good medium for us to talk via you. And I think that he's very interested and wants to play more. And so I think he's giving more energy to the channeling with you. Maybe he was giving only like 1%, and now he's giving 10 or more. I don't know, but it feels like he's connecting more deeply with you because he wants to help me to figure some things out which I haven't quite understood, and to just sort of, he's familiar and just wants to play a lot with me because I'm very playful with him as well, and I'm cheeky and funny, and I think people are very like, that's just who I am. But I think people are very reverent towards him, and they should be, because he's just an incredible being. But I think I'm so familiar with him that I can just be really silly with him. And I think that that's changed your relationship as well, because I mean, obviously there's still reverence, there's no doubt, but it's just, there's me saying silly things to you, and it's not something you would necessarily say to him yourself, because it's not the same relationship, and I'm just being silly and fun, and it's made him get it really excited about things, and his demeanor has changed towards you. He's a bit more friendly with you rather than professional, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, yes, very friendly. He wasn't like this before, and he's coming, and telling me things all day long, and I don't have to go into meditation. And when you're asking silly things, I can't. Now I am allowed to say this. When you are asking silly things, sometimes he's smiling and telling me, "What a naughty girl she was all the time like this." Even when she was small.
Yep. In this
Not,
life and that life and every other life. Yeah. Always going to be this way. But the thing is, I think that you learn through play. So when you're playful, it means that you are open. When you were not playful, you were quite rigid. So I'm very, I mean, one of my friends said to me the other day that I'm the most adaptable person that he's ever known. But things go this way, this way, this way, and I do change tact because it's the way, you have to change things, and playfulness is part of that. Playfulness is a huge part of learning. A lot of the experiments that I do don't work. Many of them, and then many of them do work as well. Probably most of them do work, but I'll do things I'm like, that didn't do anything. And then I don't even tell people about the things that don't work because I've forgotten about them 3 minutes later. I hasn't done anything. Okay, let's change it, let's adjust, let's move things around. So yeah, but playfulness is close to godliness. It's true.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to get in contact, ashtarlessons@gmail.com. Once again, he won't be doing personal readings. He is too busy being the Galactic High Commander. He's got stuff to do. But more general things, you're welcome to get in touch with her. And also, if you want to book a healing with Quadrina, you are very welcome to do that. She will be featuring on my website shortly. We haven't got that far yet, so you can book her by that. But for now, you can email her if you'd like to find out more about that sort of stuff. That's all fine. And I think that's everything we needed to cover.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, well, thank you, Quadrina. Thank you, Ashtar. We had Metatron also joining us today, so thank you, Metatron. And also, Quadrina told me there was a new guide who came through who's a dwarf, so thank you, Mr. Dwarf. Don't know anything about him yet. So we'll find out more about him later, I'm sure. And yes, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Quadrina. And
Thank you.
goodbye, everyone. Whoa, that was a crazy
Bye
one. So fun. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
bye.